Korea, always quick to respond to changes, offers countless opportunities for investment. What's it like for foreign invested companies based in Korea? Curious to find out? A three-part series on digital transformation, carbon neutrality, and new industries. This is Invest Korea Alive. On each episode, we will be joined by a guest from a foreign invested company in Korea and share with you inside stories of what it's like to work in Korea. Does your company have plans to enter the Korean market? What will it be like in Korea? Find out now on Invest Korea Alive. Hello and welcome back to Invest Korea Live. I'm your host, Shin Ah-young. Invest Korea Live is a three-part series, digital transformation, carbon neutrality, and new industries.
Who will join us today?
Okay, so today we're joined by Mr. Philip Darayo of dSPACE. Hi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on our show. It's nice to have you here.
Nice.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So my name is Phil. I've been with dSPACE for 10 years now. My official role at dSPACE Germany is to be a Scrum Master. But for my stay here in Korea, I wanted to introduce Agile concepts into the company. So Agile Coach would be the more proper.
Now you say Scrum Master. Can
Yes.
you explain that a little bit?
Yes.
It has a weird ring to it. I was just thinking.
Yes. Scrum Master comes from an agile development system that is called Scrum. And there is one person that is in charge of keeping the processes as flexible and dynamic as possible. And it is my job basically to try to help the employees to find the optimal system in which they want to work with the company.
Wow.
By still being productive and as possibly high performance as they can be.
Awesome.
Yes.
Efficiency, essentially.
Efficiency is central, but also continuous change is central. So you want to have a process that continuously adapts to the market, to the needs that the company has.
Very cool.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about dSPACE. I mean, you're obviously very proud of the company you're working for.
Yes, of course. So dSPACE was founded in 1988 in Germany, leading partner in simulation and validation software. And they help basically to develop connected, autonomous, and electrically powered vehicles. So in simpler words, basically we help our partners to get the cars they want to develop as fast on the road as possible by being as little on the road as possible to do a lot of testing already in the lab or actually in the simulation.
Being in Korea now, I imagine the Korean auto industry is quite big.
Yes.
So is it a big customer for dSPACE?
Yes, of course. Korean companies are strategic partners for us for now and for the future. And we plan to invest a lot of resources into helping them. We're always happy also not just to provide the software and the hardware, but also to do consulting and to provide the know-how. Our engineers are particularly well skilled to just go to the customer, help them solve their problems, help them to fix their problems as soon as possible.
Very interesting. And during your time here, you must have encountered a few obstacles. We're going to talk about that a little bit more.
Yes.
But before working here, coming here for employment, have you ever visited Korea before?
No, I've never been to an Asian country actually.
Okay.
This is my first time in Asia. So yeah, it was pretty exciting to be here. What I really liked was the hands-on approach that I got then here to just interact with my Korean colleagues, of course. And it works very differently than in Germany, of course. I really like that there is this stereotype of the hardworking Asian person. This has been true for Korea for most of the time. No matter how many overhours I managed to actually do here in Korea, there were always people that were working there longer than I did.
Wow.
So Andres, you come from Greece. Have you worked there? Like, how's the working environment in Greece like?
So, especially compared to Korea, I haven't spent a lot of time in the corporate environment in Greece, but I have spent a lot of time having to get documents and going through the bureaucratic process, going through red tape. And one of the biggest differences, red tape of Korea and Greece, whenever, let's say, because I run my company here in Korea as well, and making the process to set up the business, to find the employees, and to do all the legal stuff, everything is streamlined. Man, I mean, everything happens online, everything is digital communication, so that process is fantastic. But in Greece, if you want to get something approved, you got to go to this office, get this stamp. You got to go to that office, get that stamp. I don't know. In
Sometimes they don't even talk to each other,
No,
right?
they
So
don't.
they have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, exactly. So you basically have to reinvent the wheel every time you do something. Is it similar like that?
So in Germany, this doesn't happen that much. You have a standard person that you know, okay, if I need this, I go to that person. If I need something else, you go to another person. But I definitely feel you because I've been in Italy for 18 years. So that process there is the same.
Yeah.
If you want something, oh, go there. No, go there, go there, go there. So you go just round and
It's
round.
not streamlined. And you know, work hours also is a different concept. I think, here in Korea, I was surprised, especially how early people eat lunch. I mean, I started off in the education system, so in schools, people at 12 p.m. is
12
when,
is early?
Oh, 12 is very early.
Really?
Super early, yeah. I mean, Greece, lunchtime is like 2 p.m. is like the standard time.
When do you get off work then?
You get up, so there's the siesta culture, it also exists. There would be this kind of siesta time, so between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., the stores just shut down.
So everybody's asleep, basically.
Everybody
right?
goes to eat, they sleep, and then they go to work. So from 5 until like 9 p.m., people open up shop again and do their work. But public offices, they only stay open until like 4 p.m. That's a big hurdle as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, 12 is early?
In Germany, people have lunch at 12, but
See?
again, coming from Italy, I definitely feel you because
Yeah.
in Italy we have lunch between 1 p.m. and 12 p.m. So
2 p.m., right?
we want to have a healthy company culture. So of course, there's people that are passionate that want to do their best to work as much as they can, but it is a lot more healthy if you work your hours, but in a more productive way. So this was also one of my jobs here, to just help them to get a better time management and to just be more productive for the time that they're here, and then stress less. So to bring a little bit more work-life balance into their lives.
Goal-oriented as opposed to simply time-oriented. Okay, now you've put in your 12 hours, now you can go home. But at the end of the day, it's what you've done in those 10 hours that's more important. Essentially, from your experience living here in Korea, there must be two different spheres: the work environment and then the social environment.
Yes.
How has been your experience in kind of dealing with those two spheres, and how have you been coping with it?
I just tried to go for my project with as much dedication as I could, which wasn't an easy thing because as a Scrum Master, as an Agile coach, my job is basically to revolutionize the company, to change the company culture and to help everybody to improve their self-management, to get more I want them to become the better version of themselves, but I also want them to learn how to improve themselves, basically. And as with all changes, with all revolutions, there's always some people that are more resistant to change, and there are more people that embrace the change sooner. And my focus was to identify also these people and to just take them under my wing and go with them and help them and give everybody training, basically, in how do agile frameworks work. On the personal side, I was able to get a couple of really good friends here in my time, both Korean and international people. And yeah, we had some pretty interesting experiences here, let's say
Interesting
like
as
this.
in crazy? Interesting as
well,
in
there
wild? Do you think your experiences in Korea and dealing with your Korean colleagues will help you at your job of being a Scrum Master when you go back to Germany?
Yes, for sure. I learned so much about the Korean way of having a workspace life. The way they interact at work was really, really interesting to see. They focus a lot on personal interaction. They also have this blend of I'm texting you and then I'm talking to you, but a lot of my colleagues always were around one monitor, checking what the problem was, brainstorming for a solution in that moment then and there. And I really, really like this way of handling things in person. I think that there's a lot of revolution also on the workspace going on right now in Korea. And soon, in my opinion, people will come to realize that the young people have so many new ideas, so much creative ideas, that they will learn to listen to their employees instead of just, respect the hierarchy and just
Go with it.
go with it.
Yes. I think that's a very important point because it highlights a generational difference as well as just a workforce thing, because a lot of the resident employees that have been there for a long period of time, they come from a much more reserved and strict hierarchy, and as a result, once they've reached that level of status, I think their expectations of what the workplace is and their reality is much different from these new generations that want to put the work first as opposed to put that hierarchy first. So as you mentioned, giving feedback from top to bottom as well as bottom to top, that's the new kind of evolution that I think the Korean work environment is going through.
And this is what I was trying to introduce actually at dSPACE Korea, to accept communication on all levels, to be more open and more transparent about all the processes, all the decisions also that take place at work. Because the great ideas, sure, they can come from the top, but many ideas can also come from the bottom, and then they need to develop upwards and maybe meet halfway.
I have a question for you now. Going back to the workspace environment that you talked about, was there any challenges in terms of language barrier, working with your Korean colleagues? Did you find that a difficult obstacle to overcome?
Not as much as I was afraid to. So a lot of my colleagues speak English pretty well, and all of them understand English perfectly. Some people are maybe a little bit shy to speak English, but eventually there was always a way to communicating. I mean, worst case scenario, just gestures, just to understand each other. But again, most people speak English at our company. So.
Cool. And what about communication channels, like communicating via email, via text, and via, let's say, a WhatsApp or Kakao? Did you find that hard to adjust to the style of communicating with, virtually, digitally?
Not really. I mean, because of COVID, we are all used to working in a hybrid way. Some people are at the office, some people are working from home. So we have our communication channels that work really, really fast. We have several instant messaging systems. We don't really use WhatsApp or Kakao for professional, at least I don't do it, but there are some people that I know that do that. And worse, I mean, some people are at the office, so if I wanted something from someone, I just went to them and talked to them, and they're all really, really helpful. So. But a lot of stuff that I need to do officially, like if I need to contact my boss or something, I would never text him privately. I'd always go for emails or just instant messaging, but the work instant messaging and not the private chat. I don't actually even have the phone number of my direct boss, so I had no other choice but to write him an email.
Yeah, I think the corporate culture differs from
industry.
Industry.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Let's talk about our theme, carbon neutrality. Okay, exciting, right? It's one of the changes actually that's happening. We're becoming more environmentally conscious. So carbon neutrality is an important issue right now, and the Korean government is also making a lot of effort, including increasing subsidiaries to foreign invested companies related to carbon neutrality. So please tell us a little bit about the hydrogen industry in relation to carbon neutrality.
Yeah. First of all, climate crisis is the greatest challenge of our time. To reduce its impact, global warming must be limited. As a dSPACE group, we are actively working to implement the Paris climate targets and become CO2 neutral. But we are not only doing this by enabling the use of hydrogen technologies. At dSPACE, we are convinced that technology itself is the key to greater energy efficiency and resource saving, sustainable mobility. That's why, in more than 3 decades of our company's history, we have developed a comprehensive portfolio of solutions to make the mobility of the future safer, more efficient, and with lower emissions. From the very beginning, one core idea has been that by shifting the testing of new technologies from the road to simulation, we ensure that emissions can be eliminated to a large extent as early as the development stage.
So Philip, you talked about what dSPACE does, and you mentioned that they provide simulations, safety simulations, instead of real-world simulations. But I'm a little bit curious, does this apply for vehicles on the road like cars. Do you also do services for motorcycles and trucks? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, all of the above plus aerospace as well.
Aerospace.
Yeah, we have some partners also at Airbus and Boeing. And,
Wow.
but basically what we're trying to do is to remove all the testing from the road and put it all into a simulation where we gather real-world data as soon as possible so that development of a new vehicle can start in the lab, on the computer, instead of on the road. So this also goes again to CO2 neutrality. The less testing you do on the road and the more you do on the computer, the less you emit.
But that's good, all good in theory, but how accurate is it?
It is very accurate. We have basically hardware that we put in a loop. We have software that we have also in a loop. And we develop simulations that completely simulate a real-world environment. And we have a virtual car in our simulation, driving around streets, taking decisions. Do I brake if the car is too close to me, in front of me? Is there a passenger crossing the street? And the car has to do all of this decision autonomously. Wow. So we're trying to really bridge the gap between driving as it is now and completely autonomous driving. We have developed special simulation models for fuel cells controllers for this purpose. And we're continuously expanding our know-how in the field of hydrogen. For example, dSPACE is involved in a research project in Germany on fuel cells. But as I said, we think of CO2 neutrality and we think of much more than hydrogen. We are working on developing a variety of clean technologies for our future.
Right. So I think this is good timing to ask about your ESG initiative.
Yes.
Please tell us a little bit about dSPACE's efforts to, sustainability.
Yes. So for dSPACE, what this means concretely, I can give you a few examples for that.
Okay.
On the subject of E for environment, so I already tried to explain how we help our customers minimize the emissions in development process by eliminating test driving in the real world and just simulate it.
Okay.
In addition, we are using the latest technologies at our company sites to contribute to decarbonization. In the area of S for social, we focus on initiatives that support education, help those in need, support school and university students with a flair for technology and people with disabilities. Of course, our subsidiaries also support local initiatives with a focus on education. In the new local offices here in Korea, we are currently looking for cooperation partners in the area of education.
Okay, so we covered E, S, and it's time for G.
Yes. So with regard to G for governance, we of course focus on sustainable corporate management and ensure that our corporate values are lived and that the management and control systems and risk and reputation management are correctly applied. We use an established compliance system to ensure that the company is managed well.
Oh, you guys did a lot, are doing a lot here in Korea.
We are doing our best.
Have you found any resistance, let's say, because you mentioned simulation testing as opposed to real world testing in order to reduce emissions, but have you found any resistance from certain agencies or bodies that think that it's not accurate enough or any form of resistance?
Honestly, no. Most of our software is precise enough that they can mimic basically any real world scenario. And we're continuously improving to get more technology, including artificial intelligence, to do a lot of the calculations that we need to do as good of a simulation of the real world data as possible. We gather a lot of data also from real world scenarios, input it into our algorithms to get the best solution. It's pretty accurate.
Wow, very cool.
And I feel like in Korea, people are more open to technology and new technology, right?
Yeah, I think the trend is going in that direction in the whole automotive sector. Also, not only Korean companies, but also German, Italian, and American companies are moving in that direction. So I think it's a global trend. But of course, Korea's companies have been early adopters, honestly.
Yeah.
So I understand that you will be leaving Korea soon.
Unfortunately, yes. At least for now, since I think my job here was more of an incipit than a continuously project. I honestly hope to come back here as soon as possible. But for now, my time here is basically almost over.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you tell us, what will you miss the most when you return back to Germany?
There's
Many
so many
things, honestly, yes, exactly. But I think the thing that I will miss that is like not just my colleagues and working together, the atmosphere. I think the city of Seoul as a whole, because I have been here since March, so I was able to see the cherry blossoms. I was able to live Buddha's festival, many festivals, the Lantern Festival, Rose Festival. It was a good time to be here, exactly. And the diversity of Seoul is just enormous. You have everything concentrated in this city. You have amazing modern architecture, and a couple of streets later there's a little temple or a shrine. You have also districts that are very focused on providing a different feel. The way the culture is here is different than in Germany. So I will certainly miss that. Yes.
Yeah, we'll miss you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll actually miss you because it's almost time to wrap up.
Yes.
And some of our audiences are actually people that do intend or have Korea on the radar for work environment, for work purposes. Is there any like a quick tip or quick short advice that you would give to our audience members?
My opinion is they should definitely invest in this country because it's a very future-tending country. They have this tradition, the real cool traditions, but the arrow is pointed forwards, and this is something that is really positive in my opinion.
Very cool.
Great. Thank you so much for your time,
Yeah.
Phil, and thank you, Andreas. I think it's time to wrap up.
Yep, that's
Okay. Invest Korea Alive. Today we introduced a foreign invested company that is envisioning a future with Korea. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.